welcome back to another weekend on the Smallholding. Unfortunately, you haven't got me for long this weekend because I'm going away for a few days. So this is what I got up to last week when I was coming home from work. So I finished cladding off the cascading planter, but just to finish it off yesterday on the way home, I picked up these fence boards. So I'm just going to top the top off there because you can see all the framing in it and it doesn't look very nice. So I'm just going to finish that off today before I get myself ready and get myself away and leave Tracy to hold down the fort for a few days. Right, well that's me done for the day. I've just cladded all the top to hide all the framework. The rubber still needs punching some holes in it to get the water because it's been raining and it's sitting in it, so that needs doing. So my initial idea was to have a load of colours, a nice backdrop in the veg plot. We don't really want it for eating stuff, just a nice bit of colour, but we know nothing about flowers. So if anybody's out there who's good on that side of things, if you'd like to leave us some comments or some ideas below of what we can fill it with and what we can actually use it for. Really, if there's anything that exists like this, I want something that stays lovely and colourful for about 6 months of the year, if that exists. If it doesn't, I'll take any ideas. But for now, I'm going to leave you in Tracy's capable hands, probably for the rest of the video, and I'll see you on the next one, probably.
Well, I don't know about leaving the place in safe hands because the same thing has happened this year as happened last year when Stephen went away. Because we've got quite a lot going on at the moment, and the reason that we didn't have a video last week is because unfortunately this little chap here hasn't been very well. I mean, I'm not blaming Stephen or anything, but so last year, some of you may remember that the pony had a bout of colic in March. It was actually to the day that he had another bout of colic yesterday. So we spent yesterday afternoon having the vet out. Thankfully, touch wood, fingers crossed and all of that malarkey, it looks as though we've caught it early this time, whereas last time it looks as though he probably started as we left on the morning and was still colicking by the time we came back because it was a little bit further advanced. Or maybe I'm just looking out for the symptoms much more now because obviously this the last thing we've wanted is to get back here again. So I'm in with him this morning. It's Sunday morning. He is in a vicious mood with me because he's had all feed withdrawn. He is not allowed to eat now until tomorrow evening, sort of tea time-ish as we call it, which is for his own good, and I keep telling myself that, as is not having any bedding in here that he can eat. I've actually got some there at the moment that's just soaking up a little wee that he's just had. So overnight, Grace and I were, and Jack actually, were monitoring a camera that we put in place to keep an eye on him to make sure that he didn't go through another attack. The vet had given him a really strong painkiller. We opted for that after she'd cleaned him out, shall we say. However, if a bout of colic broke through that painkiller, it meant it was really, really bad. Thankfully, that didn't happen. So we're monitoring, walking it out in hand every hour, etc., etc. So we will see how that goes. So obviously, everything that I had planned for yesterday went straight out of the window. I'm going to clean up this soaked bedding once it's soaked up what it's intended to do. He is not drinking, so one of the other things that we're going to be figuring out today is different drinking options for him. We've tried, you can add apple juice to the water, peppermint tea and all of that malarkey. So we're going to try and figure something out. Don't worry, I'm not going to make this video about the pony in its entirety, although you do deserve it. But we're going to get on with some gardening this afternoon as well. Well, those times when all the plans that you've made just get ripped up and thrown out of the window, that was pretty much what this weekend ended up being about. So Stephen, by this point, had already left. He did offer to cancel his plans and stay to support us, but there was honestly nothing else that he could do other than just make cups of tea and coffee and say it's going to be okay. The vet arrived as Stephen was leaving, so we said our goodbyes and then had a chat with the vet on the best way to proceed. So we kind of had things figured out, but it meant that our weekend was completely upside down. You weren't going to be sleeping when you were supposed to be sleeping because you were on check-in duty and all of that good, and we're used to that. From a small holding point of view, we do that for different reasons, just as anybody would if they were taking care of somebody or something and they needed to disrupt their life to do that. We'd do that in a blink of an eye. However, that did mean that a lot of the other things went out of the window. We didn't stay on top, of collecting the eggs or making sure that things were done when they were supposed to be done. Everything got fed and watered, that goes without saying. But the weekend was very much an upside down one. We were doing everything we could to figure out the best way to just get through and hopefully have a healthy pony at the end of it. Now, what did happen was he also went lame during this time. So Grace sprang into action and and made him some, using things that we just had around the small holding, such as duct tape and, well, different things such as nappies. We did have to go out and purchase some nappies. She created a poultice for his foot. We weren't too sure which foot was the bad one, so we ended up doing both front feet. Thought that there might be an abscess. Turns out that we don't think there was. It might have just been a reaction to the colic or the onset of laminitis. So again, we've adapted and now we're working our way through that, but it has been super cold. So some good hearty food was needed. So tonight I'm doing some of the beetroot from the garden. I just wanted to show you how amazing these are. They are looking absolutely fantastic. I'm so pleased with them. We harvested these a little while ago. But yeah, they've been in the ground all winter through all kinds of different weather and looking fantastic. We're going to do them with some sausages for just a nice and easy sausage tray bake. So this is what the tray bake is looking like. The beetroot has got a nice coating of olive oil and garlic on there. And these are 4 leeks from the garden, which we're just trying to throw into everything at the moment. They look more like spring onions or large spring onions, but I'll get those roasted at the end. These are going to go in with being root veggies. I'll put those in first, and then the onions, the sausages and the leeks and anything else I find in the meantime that's kind of a slower cooking will go on the top at the end. I'll also drizzle those with some good oil as well. I can just use the fat for this, but I've got garlic in olive oil, which I was gifted at Christmas from Stephen, so that's going to good use. I've got a chili oil one as well, but I don't use that on this because it might be a little bit too spicy. Well, the minutes turned into hours, which turned into days, and thankfully that meant that recovery was underway. We did what we needed to do. We tried to get the pony out every hour to get that digestive system kicked back into action, but being lame, that obviously presented us with a problem in itself. So we just did what we do and managed to get through it as a family. And speaking of families, look who's back. Where's it coming from? What's your back? What's your...
Yeah, trash this thing. Not that we're going to take much trashing, like.
Hedge trimmer.
Hedge trimmer out and they just go across the top.
Looks like the apple tree survived, look.
Yeah, which one is it?
Yeah,
Just straight there?
yeah.
That was bigger than that.
No, I think it just looks tiny now because of the... I don't know what they've done, but there's a big gap. I can't picture what trees are there.
This tree's all snapped there, this willow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to clear the back out a bit.
Well, this always floods, doesn't it? So... Well, look who's back, hiding in the bushes. He left me alone for a little bit and everything went wrong. What we've decided to do, because of what happened last weekend when Stephen, before Stephen went away, obviously with the pony not being very well, etc, we're kind of just merging our 2 weekend vlogs into one, because there was pretty non-existent for last week, but we did do a plot tour, so hopefully you've seen that video and you enjoyed that. And right now, this morning we've spent all morning, we've been looking to see if we can find some weaner pigs that we're interested in getting, and we're also looking to see what lambs we're going to be picking up this year. So that's all coming up very soon, which we're really excited about. But for now, practical jobs all along here. This is the outskirts of our vegetable plot. We're trying to get the brambles that are growing through and pull them back, because the farmer's taken all this bit down here, which is his land, I guess, not ours, but it's left a whole load of brambles underneath which are reaching through into the veg plot. We started trimming them up on the other side, which you might have seen on one of the recent videos, but there's just so many that Stephen was trying to actually figure out if it's possible just to pull them back through, instead of keeping, every time we chop them they come back thicker and faster, but it's not looking... I don't think you're winning, are you?
Well, don't say that yet.
Don't say that yet. So back to another weekend.
It'll help the bush as well.
Pardon?
It'll probably help the bush as well. Get them all out.
It's a bit sparse in some places, isn't it? Like massive tentacles, aren't there?
Bother about these
Oh, it's satisfying. it's worked for some but not others. So this bit here is nice and bare now of brambles, but there's a whole load there you can see Stephen working on. So this year, sorry?
No chance of getting them.
So this year, as last year, we are hoping to pick up 2 weaner pigs, which will be for our freezer. We've been in touch with a couple of people this morning. We're waiting to hear back from them. We've got some fingers crossed for some Tamworths we were hoping for, but the chap that was said was breeding them this year isn't, for whatever reason in the end. So we've looked at, there's some saddleback crosses and some Tamworth crosses as well. So fingers crossed, some are available in 2 weeks. If they all haven't been taken, then we're going to be picking some of those up as well. And we've been putting the feelers out to get some orphan lambs, because whilst we still have Nettle and Carol, which are our pet sheep, we've decided that we're not going to get any ewes or using lamb or anything like that. We're going to wait, and then we're going to start afresh completely. And also starting afresh completely, we've decided that we will be getting some duck eggs in. We were supposed to do that at the beginning of March, but unfortunately they haven't been laying very well. So we were saying before, we weren't getting enough to sort of fill the incubator. So we're going to have a chat about what to do about that, because we're replacing our duck flock with the fresh, obviously the youngsters this year as well. It's quite a brutal life, isn't it? So yeah, lots of things happening through March and into April. I'm very excited to be doing that, so we'll bring you along for all of that as well. Stephen's just fell off the pallet fence. Not badly. Are we going to take that pallet fence out, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
You said you wanted to take it out this year. She was
No, but
trying. We were going to trail some more sweet peas up it, weren't we? I'll get it all tidied up. What do you think?
That's not hurt anything for a minute. What other jobs on before that?
Very sensible. Well, Stephen was straight to work when he came back. There was a few of those niggling jobs, kind of not smallholding related, that he was getting on with, replacing security lights and things like that. So he got on with that, and it made us realise actually that side of the garage probably needs painting this year as well. So as we're getting the jobs ticked off the jobs list, they're getting added just as quickly, in fact more quickly I think. So I was kind of helping him out, and we were getting sorted for that weekend before we were moving on to just chilling out and relaxing and catching up after not seeing each other for a good while. But then the week has brought us some seriously low temperatures. I don't know about where you guys are. Let me know in the comments if you're in the UK, but what the weather's like wherever you are in the world, because it has been below freezing most mornings this week that I'm chatting with you now. So I've been going out and had frozen hay nets and had the ducks water and the chickens water that is frozen every time. But it did get me thinking more about the livestock and the livestock that we're going to be getting this year. Now, I've been talking about the livestock that we're going to be getting this year, and I thought it would be nice just to remind everyone, especially if you're new here, about the different pigs that we've had over the years. We moved to the smallholding in 2016, and we got our first pigs in 2017, which were these ones on the screen here. They were from a neighbour friend over the field of ours. We had no clue as to what we were doing when we first got these. He raises indoor commercial pigs, so we were literally chatting with him, telling him that we're interested. We didn't even know where to start looking for livestock back then, and he said, well, why don't you take a couple of these and see how you get on. Now, the interesting thing was with these guys, they were generally bred to be raised indoors. Whether you agree with that or not, that's kind of what these guys are raised for, and it's the majority of supermarket pigs these days. And we thought, well, let's take some on. They are landrace cross large whites, I think, if I remember rightly. So we got these in the April of 2017, and then we moved them. So we had them in the barn initially, and then moved them outside later on in the year when they were still sort of small enough to be able to carry. Back then we weren't doing YouTube or anything like that, so the only videos we've got are those that we kind of just took for ourselves, if that makes sense. And we thought, let's raise these pigs outside, because that's what we wanted to do. We didn't want to keep indoor pigs, which was a blessing and a curse. The blessing was that it taught us that we shouldn't keep these pigs that are sort of more for indoor rearing outside, because we had a lot of issues with them in terms of, well, first of all, they were super lean because we didn't feed them at the rate that they are kind of designed to feed indoors, and they literally just ran about all over the place. They were the most athletic pigs. So when we came to actually harvesting them, they were super duper lean, and also they suffered a lot with sunburn, with being a lot of the lighter sort of skinned pigs, whereas some of the more traditional breeds, which you'll see that we get into in just a second, tend to do a lot better outside. They've got the kind of thicker skin, more hair, and we ended up putting sun cream on these guys. I think we tried to put an umbrella out for them, but they ate it. They were so funny, honestly, so quizzical, so interested in everything. They were one of the only ones that wallowed in the mud. You always hear about pigs wallowing in the mud, and we found that that's not always the case, but these guys absolutely loved that, and that probably plays into because of the skin obviously being thinner and a lot paler, as I say, than some of the other breeds that we've had, so they benefited more. And we also learned that where we were keeping them there didn't have any or enough shade for them, and for pigs in general. It wasn't this breed, it was the old spots, which we'll come to, which you see shortly, that actually suffered from the heat one year, and I ended up feeding them a whole jar of honey to try and kind of bring them back to a bit of energy again. Whether or not that was the right thing to do, I have no idea, but it felt right on the day, and it actually worked. So when they were suffering, probably it was like an electrolyte replacement, I'm guessing. But this on the screen now was our introduction to owning pigs, and the only research that we'd done really was watching the River Cottage series, which I've harped on about over the years, but this was our first attempt. So we used to go down with the water, as you can see, and just spray them off, because that year 2017 was an absolute scorcher for a few months as well, so that would be another reason why they suffered. But my goodness, they were an introduction, and we absolutely loved those. There's Stephen with them just before they ended up leaving us. We were given a heat lamp. This photo here is a heat lamp off our neighbour. So he said when we took them home, they literally came home on Grace's knee. In the back of the car, I mean, I'm laughing, we still do things like that now. But yeah, he said they still need to be on a heat lamp. And that this was the first time that Stephen had butchered anything at home too. Now he's got the facilities where he can actually do it at work. So our homemade sausages, everything was done in the kitchen at home. Now, second time, we were a little bit more prepared. So Stephen turned the boot of the car into somewhere where we could put the weaners. So these were literally like the size of small dogs. So we weren't worried about being able to fit them in the car or anything like that. And this year, we got Gloucestershire Old Spots. Now, the original ones we got in 2017. The second lot we got in 2020. So we did have a break because we were concentrating on sheep for no reason other than that's just how it worked with working full time and, you know, not committing to too much. But the Old Spots overall, I think they've been my absolute favourites. They are just lovely, lovely pigs to own and to raise. However, they did give us, I think it was the Old Spots, the most interesting send-off in terms of getting them into the trailer when they didn't want to go in. That was a real worry. But we learned that day that pigs can jump and pretty much fly. So what you're seeing here is the next time that we've got pigs. So out of the 10 years we've lived here, we've had them for 5 years. And in this year, I think this was 2022, we got some some Welsh pigs, which were from a friend of Stephen's. They were fantastic. We got the next lot were Old Spots, which are the ones on the screen now, in 2023. And then after that, in 2024, we got the large blacks, which all in all, they've all been absolutely wonderful. So I just thought I'd give you a little run through of our story of owning pigs, and I've really enjoyed that. So now that we've had the memories of the pigs, we are actively looking to see what weaners we can get hold of very, very soon. So look out for that in an upcoming video. This one has been a crazy video all over the place because it's been a crazy couple of weeks, to be quite honest with you. So I'm hoping for a quiet weekend this weekend where we will be back with another vlog, which is showing exactly what we get up to here on the Smallholding, and hopefully less drama.